How thick is the glass ceiling in Australia? Women have broken through, right? Let's look at the facts. Across all occupations, a man is 4.6 times more likely to reach a high-paying role. Will earn $24,000 more than a woman per annum. And, alarmingly, this income gap is widening. There's nothing new about the idea of equal pay for equal work. The world recognised it as a fundamental human right nearly 70 years ago. Australia followed suit with protection in our laws 40 years ago. Women's higher education and participation in the workforce is also not new. Women represent nearly half the workforce, and for the last 30 years, more women have graduated with higher education degrees than men. We've had nearly 50 years, or 2 full working generations, since Australia committed itself to ensuring equal treatment of men and women in the workplace. How are we faring? Sadly, inequality is rampant in nearly every Australian occupation. If you are a woman and want the same chance at success as a man, there is nearly no good choice of occupation you can make. We've analysed more than 10 million individual tax returns by 440 occupation codes and calculated a glass ceiling index that ranks each occupation by equal opportunity for both genders. The glass ceiling index was calculated by looking at the average wage by gender, whether the wage gap is widening, and the pink-blue workforce composition. We also devised a new innovative metric for examining equal opportunity in an occupation. How much more likely is a man to reach a high-paid role than a woman? This helps us to answer the question, if your daughter and son entered the same occupation, how much more likely is your son to end up in a high-paying role? Unfortunately, workplace inequality is still pervasive and significant in Australia. Looking at individual occupations also reveals some surprising results. For example, male bank workers are 9 times more likely to be in a highly paid role than a woman, and earn, on average, nearly $40,000 more. In many female-dominated occupations, men still hold the top paid positions. For instance, women represent 98% of midwives. However, male midwives are 5 times more likely to be in a highly paid role and earn $16,000 more. The wage gap between men and women is the highest in highest paid occupations. For instance, male judges and lawyers earn $83,000 more per annum than their female counterparts. Male surgeons earn $57,000 more. Even at position 200 in our index, out of 400, media producers and presenters, males earn $15,000 more and are twice as likely to reach the highest paying roles. There is some good news. Some traditionally blue occupations recognise women as equal workers to men. For instance, there are few female truck drivers, but they are remunerated on average more highly than their male counterparts. These statistics speak for themselves. The scale of the inequality in the Australian workforce is shocking. Tired old arguments around time off for child rearing appear small relative to the yawning gulf between men and women's remuneration in 95% of occupations. We believe the only acceptable value on the glass ceiling index is 0. Sadly, we could award a 0 to less than 3% of occupations. These results raise some hard questions. Even if we accept that tenure differences and part-time working arrangements explain some of this earnings gap, we must ask ourselves, how much of the observed inequality is still explained by active discrimination? Why haven't we evolved the norms, cultures and processes of our workplaces to accommodate different work preferences? Are we allowing a male-dominated work and arguably societal culture to create an environment of systemic disadvantage for women? Are our politicians doing enough to remedy an issue that is 50 years old, still pervasive, and progress appears to have stagnated? Requirements for companies to report the gender composition of boards seems a little out of touch with the inequality present at every level on the shop floor, the hospital ward, and the classroom. Check out these results and more at theglassceilingindex.org.